Oh, I give you as quick as possible brief on the core platform. So our name is Fynd Reality, Norwegian. Fynd is a name, old Norwegian name for powerful. So that gives you the opportunity to understand why it has a difficult name as Fynd. It's not Find, but Fynd. Our platform is made for accelerate learning and increase productivity. So we say that the VR PC part is accelerate learning, and the increased productivity part is part of the AR elements in this. So we can use both AR and VR inside the platform if you want to do that in combination. And we like to say that we are looking for the agnostic possibilities here. So whether you are in a HoloLens or tablets, PC, Mac, any kind of PC device running HTC VR or whatever other VR Quest or so on, we can do so. And we try to make a simple connection to this and making a lot of application running on it, like medication, like welfare apartments, and we can do every kind of building or put any kind of buildings in there, like the Armed Forces Museum you saw in the. And we also have a decision support system for maps. So we have a global map of 3D global map, and we also can have static maps. And we can synchronize speech and other kinds of elements is fully synchronized. We can test that afterwards. And it can be used as a social part too in meeting rooms and so on. We're also working hard on doing army relevant elements and content with animated characters. So I will say that you and me are avatars in this, but those people you have in here are characters. And we have built this platform on our own, built on Unity as a core element for downloaded applications. We are not running it on web servers, but we are running it on a Microsoft Azure infrastructure. So we have built all the backend also from both sides. You have different kind of features inside there, the possibility to build different kind of applications. I'll talk a little bit more about them later on. So we have dialogue simulations, we have a sequential logic, we have global maps, we have a save and load system, we have an immersive learner system, and we have a scenario builder. So you have different kind of features that we think we need and the customer needs in different kinds of setups. So these are some of the applications that we have done. What we do today is, of course, more like these. We're building a virtual classroom for education for university colleges and universities for their training of teachers. And then we also do decision support system with a map system. I can show you a couple of pictures from that. We can also take BIM and drawings and CAD drawings in different kinds. This is a BIM drawing from a factory that we can make as an environment instead of the environment we are inside now. Or we can take vehicles or other elements from armed forces, for instance. Or we have built a medication room for training nurses in maintaining medications and with a lot of different kind of cases so they have to prepare the pills and everything for the patient. And this is an extremely interesting applications that we are launching a pilot for next week and using it on 4 universities in Norway for training of the nurses. And we have a welfare apartment for training people to prepare a welfare apartment or apartment with welfare technology for elderly people. Yeah. So this is the medication training VR. It's also a multiplayer session, so you can have up to 30 people inside there at the same time, at least in VR. So we can maybe have more people in also, but we have we can guarantee a limit on VR if everyone is doing a VR and have heavily motions inside there. But we think that we can do more, up to 50 maybe. But we put a limitation on that one. But inside a medical room, it's not necessary to have more than 2 or 3 people in any way. So how we can use it like this, for instance, you have the teacher on the left side here and the students in the middle if you want to use it in a classroom. And then you can use it on a big screen and have them all inside. Or you can use it like we do now, distributed worldwide and sit in the same room, or combinations of those. So we are very much looking into the pedagogical or didactical part of it. So we like to see that the customer, if there are universities or other, are happy about how it's support their already blended learning system. And you can use this platform for different kind of channels. You can put up 30 channels if you want to do that, and have one single player inside the room. So you can put up a medical room, for instance, for each of them. And after you have say to them, go and train here with a guided tour and train for yourself. And then we meet next day for 5 or 10 people inside the room for evaluation and discussion on possibilities. And then you can put everyone into the same room. So you have 30 people in the same room, and then you go through a procedure or whatever. And every environment we have, we can do it like this. So it's a nice feature to have. We can also load and save elements into this. We build up a room. So before you came, I put up the screen here, and I loaded it, and I saved it to my computer. So I have a project file, or I have a core file that says that this is the status. And you can just try that also. And when we are taking out a lot of objects later on, you can save it to your computer and you can test it from there. And then you can save that file for a new session the day after or a year after, depends on. And then we have these animated characters. So we have a family of animated characters. They are rigged and with everything needed for motion capture on both body and face. And we have built a dialogue system for that one. It looks like that. It's quite good expressions. So we have about 49 expressions. That was the presentation I was thinking of giving you. So now we can do some playing around. Related to COVID, it's not so easy to get everyone into VR glasses, so most of them using PC. So the organization that has been using these most is the University College up in Norway, who's training students in decision support system. So they have often had 30 people inside with PCs inside there. So the instructor is in the middle, and then they have 30 people around him on top of the map, looking at the map and discussing these elements in the map. They have had I think they put up 2 channels. They had 60 students at the same time, 30 in one and 30 in the other. So that's quite of a massive bunch of people inside. But when it comes to armed forces, I guess that it'll be similar to a platoon or something like that. So if you are between 15 to 30 people inside. Could you explain that in a better way, Kristine, about the scenario builder? Because you're more into the scenario building than I am, actually. So
yeah, sure. Yeah, well, it's that's actually one of the things that's a bit challenging with the last question you asked, because a lot of our clients and they're not really, I mean, the market's not really mature enough, so they don't understand how many 30 people inside of a room like this actually is. And so they always ask us for 200.
Yeah.
They don't understand that that means 200 people inside of a virtual space. And it would be the same as in a Zoom channel, 200. So that's also something with the scenario building, because when you do the scenes, you need to build them so that you can obviously use the space in the best possible way. and to have 200 people inside the same space would be challenging unless you've built the scenes for it. So with the map, that's quite easy, because obviously the map is it's the world that you're in. So instead of this environment, and I don't know if you saw the 360 image that we have surrounding this place, it would be like floating around there, really. So so that's possible. And the way we do the scenes is, if you can see the 3D models that's been placed in front of us here, and the chessboard, I think that's probably the best example. If you start with the chessboard and everything in place to start a game, and then you save that scene, then you can save the next scene. You can save one scene for each step and for each move that the players do. And then you have everything sequentially built up, and you can start setting this up in the scenario builder to make different paths. So you can simulate the full game, and you can also let the players afterwards decide and choose which move to make. So you can make branching paths for an entire game. And that's really what it is. So you loop back, and it's really just a simple way of letting the player make choices. And then that choice leads to a different scene. One scene where this piece is placed there, for example. And then if you move it, well, to the next spot, it will have some consequences. So it's really just about placing objects in a 3D environment and saving it. And objects can be 3D models like this, or it can be text or videos like the one Knut showed us. So it's a very open and flexible system. There's no much, I mean, yeah, it's really just branching paths and ID tags for 3D models.
I see. So as a scenario builder, it's kind of like building the keyframes of an animation. You know, is that what it's kind of like here? And this is something that the clients can do. They can be scenario builder.
Yeah, except you can then move. I mean, you can edit, and you can move through plays and choose the paths yourselves. So it's it's a branching path 3 structure. So you give them choices, and you on a computer it would be in the UI. In VR, you get the choices presented to you. Well, it's in the UI as well, but it's presented in front of you. So they are predefined choices, but you can always add more. So when you have the scenario, you can expand it. So you can add 10 choices, or maybe just 2, or whatever suits you.
Honestly, that's a pretty, it's quite simple, but I mean, from a client perspective, that's a pretty robust way of creating a lot of content.
Yeah.
Very quickly. Yeah, that's, you know, some of the other platforms we've seen that have these creative tools, they're very somewhat intimidating, quite overwhelming. All the different things you can do, which often requires some type of like visual scripting or some type of pseudocode work. And you know, it's pretty tough for people who just want to get in and do very, very straightforward decision tree type of things, as you're describing. So it's
very simple, and it's very flexible for most users. So, but that also means that there's not much logic connected. So if you had like visual scripting, you could probably add more logic to all the choices. But here you only really have the choices to make, and it's predefined. So
I guess as an instructor, you have the added benefit of you can be in this. You know, the logic doesn't necessarily have to be. You know, it's like the multiplayer games. Like when games were like so much was going into creating artificial intelligence in a game versus just making it multiplayer. You know, just put another human brain in there, and there's so much already that so much of the logic is provided by the person.
Yeah, exactly.
And if you look at the menu on the left side of the PC, or you can even you can get the menu by hitting the Y and B button on your controller if you have a plus, and then you get the menu, and then you can choose from the different kind of objects there. And you also have the save load button. So if you do a save and write the name for that file inside your computer, you can save that to your computer. And then you can delete all objects from the environment here. And then you can hit that button from your computer again and hit the loaded file, and then we will have the environment back. So we can just try it now if you like. So, and then we can build on top of that one. So we use it also for project development to say that, okay, if you do these things, put these there and these there and do that, and write a comment on that one and save it. And then then we have a nice part of the project inside a file that from that meeting, and then we can address it to the next meeting as a start for the next step in the next meeting and put it up again, and then we can build on top of that one and save it as third file, so we can still have a history of what we have done together and
It's
so
like
on.
version control. Essentially, yeah, it's like a version control for a project.
There
I
we
realize that the two of you, Christina and Lance, who are on PC, you have little keyboards in front of you. I just realized that. I didn't.
Yeah.
That's cute.
You can also save it, Michael, but if you hit the B or the Y button and then you look at the save, and then you can save all objects or remove all objects, but there you can save a file. We also have the possibility to change environments in there, but then we have to save the status of this environment first before we go to another environment. So if you all want to join me later on, then after Michael has saved it and tested it, then you got the file on this computer. That file will stay on your computer and the documents, Michael. So after you finish here, you'll find it on documents, and I made a core catalog for you, and there the file will say that what you named it and a .core. So should we go to another environment to have a look? We have multi-environment possibilities here. So we are now into the area called the XR lobby. But I can take you to the, yeah, we can start with the black box.
Amanda's it's a movie festival, a film festival in Norway. So they're going to use it to recreate some iconic movie scenes. They're going to do it very simply and very creatively. So they only have the models that are available to you now. And then they are going to screen cap or record their screens. So when I move around now, I'll sort of mimic the way the camera moves in the scene and everything. And then they're gonna add that together and do the clipping and everything to make a sort of, yeah. So they're actors in their own rights, but they're also cameras. Mm-hmm. So it's really just about understanding how the camera moves. And so this is it's a movie or a film festival for youth. So it's for young movie makers, I think under 20.
I can give you a radio if you want. You see that we can projecting these also, Michael, so we can shoot them. I can catch the elements, and then I can use my finger, my trigger finger, to point at some places, and then I can project the elements over there, and either on the wall or whatever, and I can hit it and place it there.
I was curious about moderation tools because like I use virtual worlds for education sometimes. So I was wondering what was available to make other people like be quiet and things like that. Is there an admin who is moderating the room? Or is it all done on good faith?
At the moment, it's like on good faith at the moment, but okay. We have an admin. The administrator is the licensed user, and he can invite 30 people from wherever without having, and he can change the people all the time. So we will, as soon as we are actually moving on to new server now, and when we do that, we will look at the admin role and how much the users can do or not. So we have the options to do that, so we can control it. But in this application today, it's not anything else. Will you add anything, Christina?
Yeah, well, it's really up to each client and each new customer what they want and what they need. So for this build, they really wanted all the students or the high school students who are going to use it, or the movie makers, they wanted them to have the full freedom. So it's really about which level of flexibility we add. So it's, well, as for now, we do exe files for the client. They really just tell us what they need and we add it. So we can do, if you see the user menu, you have the list of participants, and you can mute each one if you want.
Okay.
It's just for you for now, but there's nothing, it's not difficult for us to add an admin that can have like superpowers over the sound system and everything. So it's really up to the clients.
So we got some people, I mean, are they digging into the chest to take the heart, or I see there's some health related services being rendered?
Sorry.
I'm not quite sure if I got the whole question, but maybe Christina heard you. But this is how we can use the animated characters inside here. This is a loop of an animation, but it's a correct animation of first aid. So nice you found it, Lance, wasn't it? Or
Yeah. No, I mean, the icon was a little misleading. I did not expect that to happen, but yeah, it's good.
so we can use. So those are the people we have rigged for motion capture. So we just reuse them in other applications, and they are fully capable of having all the motions that we usually have. And they also, what we call it, bench-shaped faces, Christina.
So, I mean, that's that. To continue on the course of the theater, because you're talking about working with a film festival, and now, I mean, there are VR festivals as well, which we have some experience with in our community, and there are these performances that are done in VR, and it's curious that you provide motion capture service as well as these kind of dynamic scenes that could be set. And I'm just thinking out loud that if we could have as an avatar a model of that type, like if you could a client could load a particular avatar, whether or not they could be performing with those avatars in a scene that they've set up, and then being able to sequentially trigger these different well, just from scenes to scenes, or even like just different elements in a scene, if it's sequential, like triggered animation and stuff like that. It's just thinking out loud. I know that that's a new area inside of VR that's seen a lot of growth, but has not seen a great platform for it yet. VR chat's kind of the best, or maybe Neos is, but each of them have some significant weaknesses to that type of use case. I wonder if it's something like a client would see Core as, give us an avatar, give us one of our own avatars, let us create the scene and upload the models for the scene, and then obviously performance later.
Yeah, can you comment on this? Or?
Yeah, sure. That's it's one of the things that we're discussing internally. It's pretty close to what you were suggesting, Knut, with the football simulation sort of. Using avatars inside simulations of football games to gather the movement information from from videos, taped matches and everything. And it's definitely possible. The problem is these avatars are rather heavy. They're not really optimized for this kind of viewing. And if you make them dynamic in a larger degree, it would be too heavy very quickly. So it's really just about optimization and the need for an optimized version for example, for the Quest. So we always have to think about the lowest end of hardware equipment, really. So these work fine because they're a defined set of animation. But anything dynamic is obviously harder. But I think there will be possibilities soon. And obviously the Quest and the Pico glasses and everything are getting better as well. So I think having the motion capture studio and having rigged characters like these are definitely an advantage, because there are a lot of clients who will see the use of it.
Here, could I see the school? I have just a few minutes and I should go, but I would like to see the school before I leave, if that's okay.
Just a second. Just a second.
It takes a second to load.
Yeah, it's quite heavily, but well, this is a playground outside, but we can go inside and have a look at the classroom. So here you have everything in here are loaded for being moved on, and we have in the 3D object library, you can also add different kind of new elements in there. So,
and in a room like this, as it's currently set up, is this kind of like for teaching or for training, like maintenance of the classrooms, particularly like for maybe sanitation now as schools start to open up again? Is that kind of the use case for a setting like this, or is this something intended to
this is
for students themselves to come in?
Basically intended for teacher education, teach the teachers. So how to prepare a math lesson, how to prepare for history lessons, how would you prepare this room for making it suitable for the, let's say like this, I can go here and say that I will organize this in another way because I'm having so many people in here today, so I would like to organize it in this way, and not the chair there. I'll have more chairs around here and so on. So you prepare the teachers for how they can educate the students. And so this is for university college teacher education, basically. You can have a look at the city outside. That's Hamar city in the middle of Norway.
Yeah.
Yeah, quite a few interesting elements out there. You can see the Viking ship on the right there. Right out there. You see that one? It's turned upside down. It's a big Viking ship actually, but it's a speed skate ice hall. Speed skating.
That's very large. I thought Viking ships were a little smaller.
Yeah, it was used during the Olympics in 1994 for speed skating. So
one of the uses that we have made it for is creative workshopping for business development. So that's really why your avatar choices are the way they are, with the king and the clown and everything, because it's and the angel and devil, because that's what they usually do in those sort of workshopping creative sessions with the business development. They do like they give you a sort of a persona.
Role play.
Yeah, so that's one of the uses.